Hey everyone, Felipe here. Welcome to another Tarot Savers GNN news review. This week, we are approaching the last week of the Jujutsu Kaisen collaboration, and because of that, we are being introduced to the new Nightmare stage. This always comes nearing the end of the event, and it is going to be the hardest stage of the event. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the GNN news and see what is in store for us. So, like I said before, we do have the new Nightmare stage, the Lurking Curse user that will be introducing the new character Suguru Geto, or Geto Suguru. Yeah, same thing as always. Nightmare stage is the hardest stage of the crossover, and in this case, we do have a entrance restriction, which will limit you to have a team that has all 5 attributes in the team. Honestly, not the worst condition, but it is still going to be a little bit limiting because you still have to build your team around it. I think because of that, you are not allowed to run a mono gojo team, even though he is a 5 attribute team when you enter the stage. He is still mono dark before entering, and usually these conditions are counted before you apply any team skills. So Mono Gojo is out of the question, but Gojo might still be a good team to clear him. There is also a wave skill where the runestones touch while moving, and their adjacent areas will be darkened. That is going to be slightly annoying, and because of that, I think the best way to counter this stage is to bring a consistent time tunnel. For example, Anya, Melody, etc. So that will make it easier and easier to spin and better for your eyes because these darkened areas usually hurt my eyes. I don't know about you, but it is better to bring a time tunnel to make things easier. Yeah, Geto Suguru, the worst curse user who has killed more than 100 people, will bring the new Nightmare stage on Monday, May 15th. So this is going to be the beginning of the week, and because it is the last week of the event, don't miss out your chance of getting him. So what are we dealing with? He is going to be an earth human and has a leader skill. When the team has only curse user or curse spirits or earth members in the team attack increased by 10 times, HP and recovery by 2.5. Curse user or curse spirit members launch 3 extra earth attacks. By dissolving water, fire, and earth runes, team attack times 3.5 times additionally. This is not a bad leader skill. At a baseline, it's pretty good already. You do get a times 10 attack multiplier, which is pretty nice, and also a 3.5 additional damage multiplier if you dissolve fire, water, or earth, which is honestly a very easy condition to hit. You also launch 3 extra attacks, and because you are incentivized to running cursed user or cursed spirit members in your team, you can benefit from these 3 extra earth attacks pretty easily. Overall, his leader skill not bad. Some of the meta leader skills have more multipliers. This is only a 35 times multiplier if you account for the 3.5 and the times 10 multiplier. If you account for the extra attacks, it is slightly higher, but overall it's still a lower multiplier than certain meta leaders right now. That might change once we look at his team's skill. Here, if there is a Suguru Geto in the team, for each enemy defeated cumulatively, the character attack increases additionally to the max of times 5 for 4 enemies defeated. Cumulatively. Okay, so this basically gives you a times 5 multiplier permanently if you are able to defeat 4 enemies, which not bad, but only for him, you know. And because this is just a passive skill, this will make him actually a pretty good member to have in an Earth team because, for example, Gemini, AR Gemini gets a times 6 permanent buff by dissolving groups of 5 heart runes, and it's honestly one of the best damage increase in the game because it is passive. It does not rely on active skills or stacks or anything. And once you hit that condition, you are set. He will launch attacks with that increased multiplier. In this case, you also accumulate a ×5 multiplier for 4 enemies defeated, which means that once you hit that limit, he will be a very good card as a burst option to increase his damage or use him as a shield breaker. Okay, anyways, I digress. If both the leader and ally are Suguru Yato, Earth members has a skill cooldown of -4 after entering the stage. Runestone movement time is increased by 6 seconds. Burning and Sticky is nullified. All runestones also possess the effect of runestones of the cursed user cursed spirits members attribute in the team. After dissolving runestones, the first batch of runes to be dropped in the columns will be enchanted runes in this order: Earth, Water, Fire, Water, Fire, Earth. By dissolving water runes, recover 100% HP. By dissolving fire runes, team attack ×2. By dissolving earth runes, deal an earth damage of 10 million to all enemies before attacks regardless of defense. By dissolving all 3 kinds in the same round, damage will be dealt regardless of initial shield and puzzle shield. Damage received in the round will not lead to your defeat. Honestly, this is a very good team skill. I think the downside of this character, or the thing that limits it a little bit, is going to be damage multiplier. I was hoping that the team skill would have more multipliers to increase his damage even further. We do get a ×2 here, which is very nice. Brings it up to a times, it brings it up significantly, or it doesn't bring it up significantly, but it is a nice increase in your damage output. However, because he doesn't have other forms of damage multiplier, I do predict that his damage output is not going to be as great as other meta leaders, and he will fall off as a leader very quickly. However, his team skill is actually very good. And if this were in any other card and with better multipliers and better archetypes, this would be an amazing leader, you know? Because Cursed User and Cursed Spirits, we don't really have that many options. And because of that, your team building is going to be limited and not that flexible. But if this were any other leader with less conditions, like maybe just mono earth, which he is, but you know, if this were on a leader that was like rainbow or something, this would be pretty good. No strings attached, like hands down really good. You get all these bonuses by dissolving water, fire, and earth, and you have guaranteed sky drop of water, fire, and earth, which means that these 3 conditions are basically 100% guaranteed to hit every single round. And these ones as well, initial shield and puzzle shield, 2 of the more common enemy shields in the game. You can just ignore them for free since you get guaranteed sky drop of water, fire, and earth. And also don't forget that that is your condition to get this 3.5 times additional attack. Now, honestly, as a leader, he is pretty good. It's just that damage wise, I think he is going to be a little bit lower than like the top tiers right now. But overall, I think he is a pretty good leader for mid-level content, and honestly, his gameplay looks pretty fun. I just wish it would be in a better leader, because this leader skill would be amazing otherwise. But yeah, so now we move over to his active skill, which he has 2 effects where you can choose 1 out of 2 effects. And so they are both at the same cooldown, CD6. And once you activate one, you cannot activate the other one. That's how this one works. But here are his effects. The first effect is ignite all enemies to alter their attributes into fire until they are defeated. Ooh. Turn the 3 columns on the left into enchanted water, fire, and earth runes of fixed numbers and fixed positions. And for 1 round, the character's attack increases by 6. Damage will be dealt regardless of quintet elemental shield. The character's attack will be altered into water. Honestly, this is a very good effect. You are igniting your enemies until they are defeated. And one of the things that you might have encountered in the game is an enemy that requires to be ignited in order to take damage, or has 90% damage reduction if it's not ignited. And the way you deal with it is you ignite it, but some of the cards can only ignite for 1 round or 2 rounds. And so, if your damage output is not enough and the enemy survives with even just 1 HP, or like say, I don't know, 10,000 HP, the ignite condition goes away and you are back to only dealing 10% of your damage or 1% of your damage. And in some cases, that might just mean that you failed the stage because the enemy is going to kill you anyways. So the fact that you can ignite the enemy until it is defeated, so indefinitely, it is going to be a very good skill. Especially on a CD6, igniting enemies on CD6 and altering their attributes on CD6 is very useful because this is pretty fast. Not only that, you get that utility, but you also get an attack increase of ×6. And don't forget that Suguru Geto also gets his own passive attack bonus. So this stacked on to his passive skill is going to give him a very good burst damage option. And you also ignore Quinta Elemental Shield, which is another shield that is very common in the game. Character's attack is altered into water, and this is also very useful because the enemy is fire now, so you will be dealing super effective damage. But yeah, so this first skill is already pretty good. And the second one, Venom all enemies with 800 times the character's recovery basic value, regardless of defense until defeated. If the leader is Suguru Geto, the above venom damage will be dealt regardless of the enemy's skill. Explode the 3 columns on the right to generate enchanted earth and enchanted hearts of fixed numbers and fixed positions. For 1 round, the character's attack increases by 8 times, and damage will be dealt regardless of equal combo shield. Okay, so honestly, this second effect is also very good. So, Matt had also introduced a Venom shield, so being able to Venom the enemy indefinitely is also going to be a good asset. The lifesteal aspect, while it is nice, isn't really that useful, especially in a Suguru Geto team, or the way it's worded here, it is not that useful because 800 times the character recovery value, where recovery value is usually, I don't know, 200, even like 1,000 max. That gives you like 800,000, which is honestly not that much in the grand scheme of things because enemies now have like 100 million, 1 billion, 10 billion HP. So that part, the lifesteal part, is not that useful. So even if it hits regardless of enemy skills, you're not gonna get a lot out of it. The main use for this skill is going to be the venom and the ×8 attack bonus, and that is an amazing attack bonus. And again, Suguru Geto has his ×5 passive skill that is a ×40 by activating his skill if you have his stacks built. And honestly, that is a very decent chunk of damage. And not only that, you also ignore equal combo shield. So honestly, this character is very good and you should try and get 1 copy. Keep in mind that this is a nightmare stage, so it is going to be, a nightmare. But definitely worth getting this card because he seems to be a very decent member for future teams. Leaders always fall out of the meta, so don't worry about it. But as a member, this card is very good, and I really recommend getting 1 copy because he has a passive skill that gives him a ×5 attack bonus after 4 enemies are defeated, which at worst it takes 4 rounds to build, at best 1 if you get like a trash mob round with 4 wolves or something. But you also ignore Quinta Elemental Shield and equal combo shield, as well as inflict different status effects to um, to the enemies. There is one catch though that I am pretty sure it works like this, but because the first effect is an ignite and the first effect is a venom, I think if the enemy is uncontrollable, you will not be able to activate it, even if you want to benefit from the other parts. That is what I believe. But if I'm wrong, great. This is an amazing skill. But in the event that the enemy is uncontrollable, if you cannot activate this skill, that might be a slight bummer, a slight weakness. But overall, I still think his active skills are amazing, and his passive is great. So this is definitely a card worth getting. I mean, not 100% necessarily, but I do think it is a highly recommended card to have in your inventory. But yeah, you have the bonding skills, which, nice passives to have. And that is going to be the only news regarding the Jujutsu Kaisen crossover. And we have a new transmigration stage, which will feature a new character, Vampire Potentate Carlo. It is going to set a 20-wave transmigration stage on the 22nd of May. So this is going to be after maintenance and after the crossover is gone. But yeah, so he is going to be an Earth Demon card, CD7 skill, and actually has two active skills. The first one removes Tornado for 2 rounds, team attack increased by 2 times. For every group of runestones dissolved in the first batch, combo count increases +1. If the team has only one attribute, each member launches 5 extra attacks, one attribute each, as much as 20% of its own attack. For the second active skill, refresh the protective shield, turn all runestones into enchanted demon runes, and for 2 rounds, attributive damage dealt to enemy times 2 additionally. Honestly, that is a very good card, and you should definitely get it if you're planning on running a mono earth team or a mono earth demon team, or honestly a team with protective shields. And this is because this first effect is already good enough, and if this were the only effect that it has, I would recommend him already. That's because one of the weaknesses of a mono attribute team is the 5 element shield. If the enemy only takes damage after taking attacks for all the 5 different attributes, then you are pretty much dead unless you have a card that can do that. And this one just gives all your members 5 extra attacks of 1 attribute each, which will give you a very easy out to breaking those 5 element shields without sacrificing too much damage. And so for a mono earth team, because this card is an earth card, this card is definitely worth having already. And you also get a very nice combo count increase. Imagine pairing this up with something like, I don't know, your growth, Ingrid, or something like that. Even if you don't benefit from the 5 extra attacks, you can benefit from a +20 combo count increase if you want. And a 2 times attack, team attack bonus. Honestly, a very solid active skill. CD7, I think it's fair. A little bit slow, but I think with everything that it does, I think it's very good. And you also benefit from a second active skill that I personally think is just a bonus. CD6 gives you a ×2 attack bonus. It is worded differently, but this is basically just a ×2 team attack, but it also increases, I believe it also increases sniper damage. But unless you're running Egyptian, you're not going to be relying on sniper that much. But yeah. And then we have a new Arena Redemption super skill character, Arrows of Putrefaction Larahe. And this is going to be another Earth Demon card with a CD6 skill and has the following effect. clear the hypnotized state of demons for 3 rounds upon skill activation, and at the end of the round, fully recover HP. The character gets a ×4 attack bonus, and damage will be dealt regardless of enemy specific damage reducing resistance. When the character attacks, venom the enemy with a non-attributive damage of 1000 times the character's attack basic value each round regardless of defense until defeated. Honestly, this card does a lot, and this is what I believe cards nowadays should do. They should have a variety of uses, because if you've been following me, the thing that I always say is that team slots are very, very valuable, and being able to do a lot in one single team slot is going to be very good. Granted, this card does a lot, but some of those things are not really that great. The Venom is nice if you encounter Venom Shield, but the lifesteal is not going to be that significant. Damage will be dealt regardless of specific damage reducing resistance. That is very good, but it is very situational. But it does help that she does get a ×4 attack bonus. You also get a full HP recovery every round for 3 rounds. And you also clear the hypnotized state of demons. Honestly, at a CD6, clearing hypnotized state of demons would already make her pretty useful, because there are not that many cards that can give a full team hypnotized state clear. And the fact that she can do that for your mono demon team, it is going to be very valuable. If that's all she did, she would still see some play as a card to just clear hypnotized depending on the stage that you're in. However, she does do a lot more, so you can also bring her in your team to counter the hypnotized stage, but you can also use her to counter other things or give yourself a ×4 self-attack bonus. Honestly, this card is very good, and you should get it if you can. It is from the arena, so it is free to play and definitely worth getting. And that is going to be all for this week's GNN. And so just to recap, we have a new Nightmare stage for the Jujutsu Kaisen collaboration. Has a very fun playstyle as a leader, but a little bit lackluster in the damage department, and in my opinion will probably fall off pretty quickly as leader potential. However, his active skills are very good. First active skill is amazing, second active skill is very useful as well, and he also has a passive skill that gives him a ×5 attack bonus after defeating 4 enemies. So overall, this card as a member is going to be very amazing for your teams and definitely worth having in your inventory just in case. We also have a new Transmigration stage with a new Earth Demon card that honestly also very worth having, since he can give your entire team a 5-element attack, 5-element attacks, which can break certain enemy shields, and also gives you a very nice combo count increase. Last but not least, we have a new Arena Redemption card, with which her active skill does a lot of different things. Not exactly the most broken things, but very useful things regardless. Among these, the most useful one is going to be clearing the hypnotized state of all demons in the team. But yeah, definitely also worth having in your inventory just in case. And this is because there are not that many cards that can help you clear hypnotized state, and having one is going to be very valuable. But yeah, that is all for this week's GNN news. As always, let me know in the comments if I said anything wrong or if I missed out on anything. Stay tuned on my YouTube channel for more Tarot Saviors content. I post guides, videos, gear videos, and more Tarot Saviors content. But yeah, just make sure you check those out. Let me know in the comments if I said anything wrong or if I missed out on anything. But for now, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone!
生活之他相遇，召唤出惊喜，让生活。